Hi, and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name's Chris, and it's fantastic to have you back with us for another video. And I'm excited to let you know that we are joined by the team from Findora, and we're going to get straight into the interview. If you enjoy this sort of content, mash up the like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, tap in that bell, selecting all the notifications so you never miss a video. And don't forget to give this video a share, supports out the project as well as Cheeky Crypto. Right, let's get down to the interview.
Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. We are joined by two fantastic people today, so we're going to kind of let them introduce themselves and talk about it through kind of what it is that they're building in the kind of crypto space, the blockchain world. So we'd like to give a kind of a warm Cheeky Crypto welcome to Mike and Give. So yeah, want to give you guys a brief kind of introduction? Maybe we'll start with you, Mike, going to who you are, kind of your history and what you do at Findora.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having me on your show. Really appreciate it, Nicholas and Chris. Basically, I'm the Director of Product Management here at Findora. And regarding my background, I've got a computer science degree. Kind of started off my career in front-end web development in the telecommunications space. Also did some technical writing, technical instruction early on in my career. So really focused heavily on technical work the first few years after I got out from undergrad. Then I went back to school, got my MBA from MIT, and I really worked in the financial services space for about 8 years after that, all doing equity research, sort of the same thing that Warren Buffett does, covering technology stocks, technology sectors, and as well as, Chinese equities as well. So it was a great experience learning a lot about business, financial analysis, learning how to analyze industries, companies, et cetera. But really about 5 years ago, I decided to jump back into the technology industry. I've been living in San Francisco for 10 plus years. San Francisco is kind of like tech capital of the world. So I was thinking, what am I doing? Waking up at 5:30 a.m. in the morning to keep East Coast hours in California. Let me jump back into it. So kind of spent 6 months after my career in finance, kind of relearning modern day programming frameworks. I learned some Ruby on Rails, learned some Node.js, and eventually launched a couple of startup projects of my own on the blockchain space. Launched a Bitcoin wallet idea tied to a Bitcoin gift card. The idea was to help sell people their first $20 worth of Bitcoin, and that was really my kind of entry into the blockchain world. Participated in a couple of hackathons, won the $100,000 first place prize at the EOS IO hackathon in 2018. And then, helped co-founded a data management platform on the blockchain after that. And then for the past 2 years, I've been working at Findora, which is a very innovative layer one, blockchain focused on data privacy. And with that, I'll stop here and let my talented colleague give his introduction.
Thanks, Mike. Hey guys, good to be here. I'm a big fan of Cheeky Crypto. Obviously, been following you guys for a while. My name is Give. I'm VP of Developer Relations at Findora. I'm very new. I joined about a month ago. Prior to joining Findora, I was part of the engineering and product team at Harmony, as you know. That's really where I started my Web3 journey. But prior to that, I was at Amazon Web Services, and before that, various startups, including large tech companies at Amazon. And I was in the UK for a while. I worked at the BBC. Before that, I grew up in Australia, so going all the way back to AOL. So I'm showing my age a little bit here. But I've always been in kind of engineering, leadership roles, and right now is kind of really the most exciting part of my career. I feel Web3 just is so incredibly exciting and untapped, it feels, and I'm seeing a lot of potential with what we're working on, what we're planning to build at Findora. So I'm excited to work with folks like Mike and really a huge talented team at Findora to kind of build the future of Web3 applications.
Sounds fantastic. And I guess the first sort of real question that our audience are probably going to be most interested in is, what is Findora? What is it that sets it apart from other projects as well?
Sure, I'll take a first crack at this. So, Findora is a layer one blockchain with a focus on programmable privacy. So just some quick stats. We actually launched last March, our mainnet layer 1 blockchain, we've processed over 600,000 transactions across 140,000 wallets since then. And at a high level, what Findora is, it's a blockchain that's composed of a UTXO blockchain layer, where all of our data privacy features are located, along with the cryptography library that we call 𝗕𝗓, which is what adds the cryptography privacy features to the blockchain. And then the second part is we have a EVM-based blockchain where you can process basically any EVM-compatible code, any Solidity code that you get off of Ethereum, and you can run that on Findora as well. And it's all linked together by the Tendermint consensus protocol. And we also have another feature that we call Prism Transfer, which allows you to move between the Findora UTXO blockchain and also the Findora EVM blockchain. And what these two dual blockchain structure allows is you're able to run basically Solidity code, but take advantage of these confidential transfer features on the UTXO side, and basically route these transactions back from the Findora EVM through Findora UTXO, then back to Findora EVM again, to basically anonymize your transactions. So that's the gist of it at a high level.
Awesome. So what kind of sets Findora apart from other layer ones, would you say, in the space? What's kind of like your kind of main unique selling point?
So, like Mike said, we're a multi-chain project. Our EVM blockchain is obviously 100% compatible. So existing decentralized app developers, Web3 developers can come and deploy their applications on our EVM chain. We support all the same toolings that Ethereum supports. So on that level, we're on par with other EVM layer 1 chains. What sets us apart is our ability to provide developers with a whole suite of privacy tools that's not available on EVM. So using our UTXO chain, like Mike mentioned, developers can really tap into an array of tools that take advantage of the latest zero-knowledge proof research to be able to create the future of private applications. The thing to kind of highlight here is that when we talk about privacy, we're not talking about secrecy here. And when we're talking about anonymity, again, we're not talking about secrecy here. And as you know, in the past few months, this has been a pretty hot topic. That's why we tend to use the term pseudo-anonymity or pseudonymity, where we're actually giving users and developers toggles and levers to control what aspect of their activity they want to expose, while still maintaining compliant and auditable, right? So the example there is, I want to build an application that, say, handles payroll for a company, or as an employee, I want to be paid in stable coins, for example, but I don't want my colleagues to know how much I get paid. In a public blockchain, this is all available. This is all visible. But what we do is, using our tools, you can now create this payroll system that allows everyone to see, okay, transactions are going in and out using, for example, say USDC from one wallet to another wallet, but the amount itself could be masked. It could be hidden, right? So this really opens up a lot of possibilities here to give privacy control to users and developers.
And yeah, just to follow up on that, more specifically, those, confidential features I was mentioning further, right now they're really composed of 3 parts. One is the ability to hide the amount. So on the public ledger, unlike Ethereum, you can hide the amount that you transfer to someone. You can also hide the asset type. So obviously you can create your own custom tokens. You can create the Chris token, and you can hide that what was sent was the Chris token. It will just show up as a transfer, but you don't know what the token type is. And then the final piece is hiding the sender's address and also the receiver's address from the public blockchain. So when we talk about sort of privacy, private transfers, that's really what we're referring to. And then just additional points that might be interesting for your audience is, unlike some of the other layer 1 privacy projects, We're not, based on TE, trusted execution environments, which are kind of like hardware-based, privacy blockchains that kind of require sometimes like specific chipsets from Intel to process these privacy transactions. So in that sense, we're a little bit more versatile, more robust. We also use cryptography that's called 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘. That's in contrast to maybe some of our, other vendors in the space that use 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘. So the benefit of 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘, and there's pros and cons to whatever you choose, right? But the benefit to 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘 is, the proof sizes are smaller. Therefore, it's quicker to verify. So we kind of have that advantage over those that use 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘. And then, lastly, we're a layer one. So I think some of the other privacy competitors are more layer twos, but as a layer one, we are kind of arguably a bit more in control of our destiny. That is to say, we control the architecture fully. We can have a lot of levers to pull. There's a lot of customization that we can do that, those options may or may not be there for these layer twos that are kind of, built off of a layer one, right? So with that, that's my main comments.
That makes sense. And it sounds really good. What's the biggest threat to Findora? I'm considering like regulations as an example. Obviously, you mentioned about privacy. And what have you done to mitigate any risk?
Again, it kind of goes back to educating users, the differences and the different kind of aspects of privacy, what privacy really means, and the variations of it, right? So what we to answer your question, the biggest threat is that it's kind of this misunderstanding of conflating secrecy with privacy. But really, that's kind of a challenge that we've taken on, and we are trying to really change the game and shift the understanding of what privacy means in kind of Web3. That it doesn't need to be all about laundering and kind of tornado cash mixers. That it can really be something very sophisticated that brings confidence to mass consumers, because when you're making a bank transfer, you don't have the whole world watching how much you're getting paid or how much you're paying. And we want to kind of balance that by still honoring the openness of the blockchain space, where things are completely auditable for regulation purposes, for compliance purposes. You can still audit and see, monitor activities, but how much I get paid or how much I charge a client as a freelancer is really should be my business, right? So this is kind of where we want to focus, and we want to be able to provide these kind of tools and the material for users to adopt and be comfortable with adopting more of kind of Web3 technologies.
Yeah, and just to give you a little more color as well on what Giv said, Findora was really designed and architected from day one to kind of service centralized financial players. Obviously, it's much more robust than that. We can also service, native Web3 players as well. But because of that original mindset, because one of the original co-founders of the company, he was the ex-head of the Stanford endowment, and was one of the heads of equity research for a major tier one investment bank. He had definitely a focus when helping to launch this project to service financial institutions. And what does that really mean? And that goes back to what Giv said, earlier in our conversation about helping to trace assets, basically asset tracing, right? So what I'm trying to say is, from day one, the architecture was kind of built and designed to support asset tracing, which is a feature that we plan to release in 2023. And asset tracing is basically a way for these private transactions that I talked about earlier to be sort of decrypted and viewed by those with these asset tracing keys. And typically speaking, obviously, if you're a creator of a project, you can opt in to asset tracing, create your token, such as there's a view key that you can give out to third parties that can basically decrypt these private transactions. And naturally, these keys you would give to regulators, right? If you're a financial banking institution, you definitely have a lot of rules to follow, a lot of AML, KYC compliance. to adhere to. So giving these banks that want to create assets and then giving these viewing keys to the regulators is kind of just goes hand in hand to ensuring that, we mitigate a lot of this risk that you were mentioning earlier with, I think you were referring to companies like Tornado Cash, right? Which, makes it very easy to do illegal activities without any sort of ability to trace what's going on. But, from the ground up, I would say, Findora has kind of thought about this issue proactively and has a solution to it with essentially asset tracing features.
Awesome. So hopefully that gives the audience a bit of an overview, right? Quite a detailed overview of kind of what Findora is, right? And what kind of things you're working on. And you actually mentioned something that you're looking to release in 2023 as some of those features. But what else is on the roadmap? Do you want to kind of give the audience a bit of an overview of kind of what things you're working on, kind of release dates and things like that?
Right. I think as far as the bigger pieces, and I'll list through a lot of different things, but as far as the bigger pieces, first and foremost, we're working on, I told you earlier about routing transactions through our UTXO layer from the Findora EVM so that we can have programmable support as a Solidity developer to use these privacy features. So first and foremost, I think in 2023, we should be able to launch, more native level EVM confidential features. That way, at some point you won't have to route through our UTXO layer. We're going to get the cryptography libraries to work natively with our Findora EVM. So that will save some gas costs. That will make things more efficient. I mean, that would be a huge highlight for us. So we're doing some great work in progressing on that front. But, as you probably may or may not know, cryptography is not easy. It's why we, raised a bit of capital. We got a sizable cryptography team because these are technical challenges, but very doable in terms of overcoming. And then, we've also thought about how do we handle the ability to unlock extra use cases, so to speak, for a lot of the dApps that would run on the Findora network. Specifically, I'll give you an example. It would be great if credit scores, your real life credit score, could be shared online on the blockchain. Because if you've ever used a DeFi lending app and they charge interest rates, the interest rate is set the same for every single person, which really doesn't make a lot of sense. If you got a great credit score, you got a steady paycheck, et cetera, you probably should be eligible for a lower interest rate on anything you borrow, even on the blockchain. So what I'm specifically referring to is we're going to launch an identity management and credential system, likely in the fourth quarter of this year, which will basically allow you to have a decentralized ID. It'll be tied to a credential that will be able to generate zero knowledge proofs associated to it, so that you can basically take your proof that proves your credit score is, let's say, above 600 without revealing the actual score, i.e. a zero knowledge proof. And you can hand that to 𝗕𝗊, the DeFi app, and hopefully if they see your credit score is above 600, they'll give you a lower interest rate. So those are the types of sort of additional use cases that could really enhance not only DeFi, but almost sort of any other dApp that are out there. Once there is sort of a reliable decentralized ID and credential system available. So, leveraging the existing cryptography we've already developed at Findora with zero knowledge proofs, allows us to, I think, have an advantage in building a decentralized ID system with these zero knowledge credentials and proofs versus, say, other companies out there. But in addition to that, there's actually a very wide variety of ecosystem and infrastructure related tooling that we're building. And I know Giv's, spending a lot of time and effort on that. I mean, maybe you want to jump in here and talk about those, those items, Give.
So as well as building products like the ones Mike mentioned, and by the way, the DID is going to be a game changer. It's decentralized ID. I know a lot of projects are talking about it, but we have the infrastructure in place to actually build something very, very soon. Like Mike said, first version should be released this quarter, which is really exciting. And if you think more about how else that can be used, really there's no limit. It could be your university scores. It could be your date of birth. For example, you want to use an application that requires you to be over a certain age without needing to actually expose your date of birth. These are all really, they sound simple, but they're actually extremely difficult to do with zero knowledge proofs. And when you think about an average EVM kind of Ethereum developer, they're not going to want to deal with the complexities of cryptography, ZK proofs. So these tools that we provide to them, almost like a plug and play kind of setup. So that's super exciting. But yeah, as Mike said, in parallel, we are improving our ecosystem to make it more developer friendly. We're still very early. So we see a lot of exciting opportunities, a lot of room for growth. So we're working with a lot of partners, Chainlink, the Graph, all the kind of the tooling that developers need to scale and build sophisticated applications. So we're building products and we're onboarding more and more partners to really make Findora a robust, developer-friendly ecosystem.
Yeah, I mean, just to follow up a little more, I think we're pretty confident that we're going to be able to launch, dApps on the Findora blockchain related to, as kind of Give alluded to earlier, something related to private payroll. So, for example, a DAO can pay their vendors or contractors privately, without revealing the amounts, which I think is pretty powerful because no one really wants everyone to know how much they get paid, right? Yeah. I think private swaps for DEXs is very possible. So I think that's something we're looking forward to rolling out the door in 2023. And then I think private NFT marketplaces is another project that we've been collaborating with basically some of our dApp partners to work on. So I think there's been pretty good progress on that as well. So we'll see how that goes. I think perhaps that could be launched in 4Q, if not, I think 2023. So I think there's a lot of very interesting, exciting dApps related to privacy that are going to launch on Findora in the upcoming quarter or two. So definitely something to look for. Yeah.
I'll just add one more thing. I know we keep talking about financial transfers, and it might seem a little dry, but there's actually a lot more you can do with these kind of privacy hooks and tools. So one of the things we're discussing with a partner is as a blockchain game. Maybe the weapons that I've collected in my game, I don't want my other players to see what goods I have in my bag, right? Because that might affect gameplay. So what if I could kind of stash my weapons, they may be in the form of an NFT. I could kind of mask those and to stop my other game players snooping around and seeing kind of what I have to maybe game the game. So there's just a lot of exciting opportunities here. We're brainstorming with a lot of game developers and kind of our partners to see how else we can utilize these privacy tools.
I wouldn't say that sounds dry at all. There's some amazing things that you just described there that I think are really important to blockchain technology for sure. Mike, was there something else you wanted to cover off? Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to follow up on the theme that Give was talking about. Yeah, in the gaming space, other innovative things that we've kind of brainstormed with some partners is even on our, DID and credential side, there could be ability to sort of, instead of, storing your game profile publicly, or like a lot of these, massively online multiplayer games, you have sort of like a profile out there, right? Like, how high your, strength score is, your magic score is, right? So that, if someone were so inclined, they could sort of like analyze all the characters and have a pretty good idea who's going to win each fight. But if you were to actually store your character profiles in a zero knowledge, credential, then what could be done is all this information can be masked on chain. So you really don't know, the strengths of the people that you might potentially battle until the actual battle engine starts, the proofs are submitted, and then your strengths are revealed, right? And when you're about to battle someone else. So that's another example of what we're building can really be tied into really specific, innovative new features that don't actually exist currently in the blockchain gaming world. So there's a lot out there. We're constantly brainstorming, but I think it could be very interesting, once all these features are released.
Definitely. And you covered a number of really exciting items there. But what are you most excited about?
I might have talked about most of it already because you asked me earlier about a roadmap. We actually have quite a bit, but a lot of them are smaller stuff. But yeah, I would say in general, just the ability to do online IDs and credentials, I think will unlock a lot of features. So I think that's actually extremely powerful. For me, that's probably one of the biggest things. And then I think the other part is, I would say we're kind of on the cusp of having that full solution to enable, programmatic privacy starting from EVM-based Solidity smart contracts. So we've always had the ability to sort of have developers create applications based off of our Findora UTXO blockchain, right? But now, as of I think maybe 2 quarters ago, we launched the Findora EVM and layered it on top of this UTXO blockchain. But we didn't quite have the full solution to let you programmatically do the confidential transfers on the EVM. But we're pretty much on the cusp of doing that. There's one more sort of related feature that we need to build in order to make that fully sort of programmatic. And so I think it'll be a pretty good catalyst in the upcoming 2 months or so, 1 to 2 months or so when that's released. So I think to me that's also very exciting as well, because I think that will really jumpstart Findora developer EVM adoption once we roll that feature out.
Yeah, I mean, from my side, I'm just excited to see what developers come up with. I mean, we listed a few of these use cases here, but there's going to be hundreds of others that we haven't even thought of. So actually next month, we're sponsoring ETH San Francisco, and we have a hackathon where we're going to allow developers to use a beta version of some of these tools that we mentioned here to build with and see what they come up with. So I'm really excited to see where that goes and work more closely with the developers.
Well, it sounds absolutely epic, everything that you're kind of creating. Right? It seems like this is something that's very much needed in this space, right? You need to have that kind of ability to have certain parts masked, right? But also have the regulations or the regulators in the background have access if they need to be able to audit and things. So I think you're definitely moving in the right direction. It's sounds like something to be keeping a close eye on, because the space moves rapidly, and I think you're maybe slightly ahead of the curve, right, with what's coming, right? So it's looking pretty good for you guys, in my opinion. But the next kind of question is that you kind of covered a lot off, right? We've spoken about what Findora is, and all the things you're really excited about the roadmap. And there's several things that I want to talk about, but I won't in this particular video. Maybe we'll have you back on down the line. When things are across the line, we'll talk to you guys maybe about a bit more detail on some of the other kind of things that you've rolled out right in the next kind of few months. But is there anything else that you kind of want to leave the audience with? Is there anything you want them to know about Findora? Is there anything kind of a call to action that you want them to go ahead and do, research wise, or get involved in some way?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, for any of the developers out there, they're looking for kind of an innovative blockchain that's focused on privacy, which I think is really the next kind of iteration of blockchain, right? Having blockchain privacy features. Definitely visit Findora.Foundation, Findora.Foundation. On that website, you can basically apply for a grant. It can range anywhere from, I think, 25,000 to 150,000 plus, to be one of the pioneers to build privacy-related dApps or just privacy applications in general on Findora. So definitely check that out, Findora.Foundation. And number two, I think we've actually got a pretty robust community. I think we got over, I don't know the exact numbers, 10,000 plus, Telegram and Discord users combined, maybe 20,000 plus. I probably should know this number off the top of my head, but definitely join the Telegram or Discord group if you want to shape sort of the direction of sort of privacy on the blockchain. Help us shape our product, help us, figure out what is a good, next feature to build, et cetera, et cetera. So we would love to have you join our community.
Yeah, the thing I would add is that I've had a few questions from people when they found out I joined Findora. They were surprised to find out that Findora's been operating for a while. I think like 2017, is that right, Mike? Findora is still fairly unknown. What I tell them is that, and this is something I learned after joining, is that the team's been building, right? The foundation that the research team has been putting in place is what has kind of allowed us now to really pour fuel on this fire and really take off. So we're primed to grow and become a top chain in this space. And we definitely feel like we're ahead with a lot of the ZK research that's been done. We're a fairly large team, bigger than people think. And we have some of the best cryptographers, best academic researchers, advisors. So I'm extremely bullish. Obviously I'm biased, but just looking at the roadmap, looking at this strong team, I think Findora is really going to be an incredible project, and I encourage both developers and regular users just to spend some time, reach out to us. Always, my DMs are always open. Happy to dive deeper with you. And if you're a builder, come and build with us. Like Mike said, we have grants, and we'd love to welcome you.
Super.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for spending the time this evening or morning on your end, to talk, everything kind of Findora. We'll have to have you back on the show in a couple of months or so, once kind of things are across the line, talk about the new developments that you guys have got going on, and really kind of, see how things are progressing with you guys. But I think the future's bright. It's definitely something that I think is very much needed in this space. So thanks for joining us, and we'll have to do it again.
Cheers. Thanks
a lot,
guys.
Chris. Thanks.
Take care.
Fantastic. So that was the team from Findora. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, mash up that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, tap in that bell, selecting all the notifications so you never miss a video, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care.